What is going on, guys? My name is Rush, and today I was sitting down and I was thinking about the zombies community and all the dumb stuff that we used to come up with back in the day, especially in 2010 when Kino Der Toten came out, and this was really before the Reddit blew up, before COD Zombies YouTubers were a thing, and before the story was fully fleshed out. Some of you guys that have been around for a really long time in the zombies community might remember this, but there was a myth that once you got to round 100 on Kino Der Toten that there would be a zombie Hitler. And if this actually is something that you guys want to see, I might start doing it as a series, because I've been trying to come up with more series ideas. So if this sort of thing is something that you guys want to see, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate it if you guys want to see more like this. If not, it'll just kind of be a one-off thing that I really thought was interesting. Now, back in 2010, when there really wasn't all that many maps, and when Treyarch didn't really have a formula established for zombies yet, entirely, they didn't have a full fleshed out story, this wasn't that outrageous to really think, and especially, like I said, with the Reddit not being very popular or non-existent at all, and with COD Zombies YouTubers really not being much of a thing, or YouTube itself not being really much of a thing yet, it was something that wasn't that out of the blue, and wasn't really something that you could sit there and you can go right away, oh, that's not true. So this was really big. This made its way around the community a lot. I remember hearing this from probably hundreds of people over the years, and I remember eventually it got debunked because obviously Syndicate made it to 115 and people were like, oh, there wasn't a zombie Hitler on round 100. And I said, no, they just kept going, it's just more zombies. But I remember this. It was this insane thing where all of a sudden he would just spawn in like Brutus and he had an insane amount of health. He was the only zombie that spawned in, there was no actual zombies in the round, and then what would happen is he would just spawn in and like slowly chase you, and the more that you shot him and the less health that he had, he would like speed up. So it got to a point where, eventually once he had like supposedly a low amount of health, he would just start sprinting at you and he would one hit down you. This dude was apparently insanely hard, from all the myths that came out. I know someone said it took like 100 thunder gun shots, and it was ridiculous to actually take this dude down. He had a stupid amount of health, but again, he was the only zombie in the round or whatever. And then apparently once you beat him, he gave a thunder gun to everybody in the round, and then, or in the game actually, and you would go on to the next round, and you would only have to beat one more round, and then the game would end. It was really weird, and I don't understand how we, looking back on it now, I don't understand how we actually thought this was a thing. But again, with us not having a generally good knowledge of the zombie storyline, and them not having everything fully fleshed out, and not having a ton of real ground rules for zombies yet, and considering this was a theater that supposedly Hitler was in and all this other sort of stuff, it wasn't that far-fetched at the time. Again, now, obviously, it sounds stupid that we really even thought that at one point, but this was, a really big idea in the community. I know a lot of people thought this was a thing. And I used to go into public matches and people were like, oh dude, we're trying to go to around 100 to see Zombie Hitler or whatever, and we'd just be sitting in a game and people would be like, oh, did you hear about the myth that, if you went on the map you can see Zombie Hitler and then he spawns in around 100? And I'm like, what the hell is this shit? So I was really curious for a long time. That's part of the reason that I actually got into high rounds, was because of the fact that I was like, I gotta see this, I gotta see this, I gotta see this. But again, this is such an old myth. This is from 2010. So, I don't know how many of you guys were actually around in the community at that point, to be honest with you. I know I was barely getting into the community at that point. And obviously, there's a lot of people that have been around since World War. But I know a ton of people that have actually joined the community in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 2. So not everybody might know this. And this is one of those things that was sort of lost in time, that once it got debunked and not a lot of people really, remembered it because they were like, oh, this just isn't a thing anymore. It kind of got lost in the shuffle, and as the storyline developed, everybody forgot all the old myths that we had back in the day. So, I don't know, I just remembered this, and I was like, this was so interesting. I don't know, so if any of you guys that are watching have heard of this myth before, and you guys were around back in the day and you heard of this, back when it was actually a really big thing, please tell me so I know that I'm not alone on this. I know I asked a couple other people and they said that they remembered it, but I don't know if it was something that you really had to be sort of in the weeds and you had to really be thinking about the story to know, or it was just, every single person and their mother knew about it. I knew a lot of people knew it, but I don't know if real casual people did back in the day. But I'd really love to know if you guys remembered it. While you're down there, could you please leave a like? I'd appreciate it. If you guys could also subscribe if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate that. And just, if you want to be real nice, turn on those hot notifications for daddy. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.